Are we doing
Bounce back
Saturday?
here, just shifting people that way.
You maybe get the music turned down just a little bit, yeah?
Oh,
What are you doing, Alex?
Yell. Okay.
live streaming or
There
whatever.
we go. I mean, yelling's fun sometimes, but not all the time.
Yeah, how's it going? I'm surprised you guys are awake. I would still be in bed.
If you had a choice.
Oh yeah.
Well, one of my questions was, if you weren't racing, you know, this Saturday, what would you be doing in your
Sleeping.
off time? So, sleeping.
Sleeping. Right now I'd be sleeping, and then it'd be hanging out at home doing as little as possible. So.
That sounds great. Well, if you guys haven't heard or you couldn't tell, I'm here with our newest Hendrick driver, Alex Bowman, number 88. So, Alex, we've got some fans. Just a few, right? Can we hear the woo again? I mean, it was like much better, much better. So tell us, a lot of people, you are doing what so many people say, this is a dream job, I would love to do this. How did you get into racing?
Yeah, that's a long story. To sum it
Give
up
us the
as
abbreviated
short
version.
as possible. So my dad is a big race fan. He's a big Jeff Gordon fan in particular. Knew that Jeff started racing quarter midgets. So one day he showed up at the house with a quarter midget and kind of took off from there. So I don't come from a racing family aside from the fact that he was a fan. Didn't have enough money to make it to this level, just somehow lucked into a lot of situations that worked out in my favor and ended up being able to do this for Hendrick Motorsports. So it's been kind of a crazy ride, but a lot of fun.
That's amazing, quite a humble response. So you mentioned Jeff Gordon. Who is your favorite driver growing up? Did you pay much attention to the NASCAR circuit when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I was a big Jeff Gordon fan as well. I really enjoyed watching sprint car and midget racing more than the NASCAR stuff, probably. So, I was a big J.J. Haley fan and Josh Wise fan. It's cool to kind of get to race with them here and there now still. But, I was definitely a big Jeff Gordon fan as well.
Nice. So the Roval, it's a new challenge for our NASCAR circuit, the Roval course. When you heard, hey, the Bank of America 500 is going to be a Roval course, what's the first reaction you had to that?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting track. I think my first reaction was like, does it have to be? But no, it's been good to us so far. Hopefully we can stay out of trouble today in practice and tomorrow in the race. We've already had a lot of torn up race cars. We don't want to do that. We qualified way better than I thought I'd qualify. I'm pretty terrible at road racing, so we completely missed the bus stop on the back straightaway too. I was terrible through there. If I would have just been decent through there, we would have probably been on the pole by quite a bit. So our race car is really good. It really surprised me because I thought we would really struggle, but hasn't been too bad so far, and just trying to enjoy it.
Nice, nice. So speaking of testing it, how was the Roval test? I heard you guys had some kind of test going into this.
Yeah, so most of us came and tested. A few teams didn't, but there were probably 3 or 4 tests. They changed the racetrack pretty much hourly every time we were here. I only ran one of the tests, but it was pretty chaotic. We had a lot of torn up race cars at the tests, but I think it helped develop the racetrack a little bit and kind of figure out where curb placement needed to be and stuff like that. So it was definitely interesting. I think it was every bit as interesting as practice was yesterday with a bunch of torn up race cars, but it's just part of this racetrack.
It sounds expensive. Speaking of torn up race cars, is there anything you guys, your pit crew, needed to do differently with regards to your car and getting the car prepared for the Roval course as opposed to just a normal track?
Yeah, I think we tried to build as much of a tank as we possibly could. You can pretty much total the race car just from hitting the curbs too hard because of how tall and how the curb designs are. So it's a little bit of a pain to try to know how much you can use the curbs to make speed. Like in qualifying, you use as much as you can, but if you do that in the race, the car won't make it through the race. So you got to learn how to balance that, which I'm not sure any of us have yet. Nobody really knows what to expect. You had guys throwing away cars after the test just from hitting curbs. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Hopefully our car's built pretty strong, but I'm looking forward to it. I think the key is going to be staying out of trouble, and hopefully starting up front, we'll stay out of trouble all day.
So staying out of trouble, what does that look like?
just got to lead every lap and then win and then go to victory lane. To me, that's staying
Leading
out of
and
trouble,
winning.
right?
I mean, that's pretty good strategy, lead and win. I like that. Does anybody have any questions for Alex? Anything you're dying to know? Shy bunch this morning. Here we go. How old are you? Ooh.
I'm 25. I'm
When
like
did you
the
get
old.
started?
I'm like the old guy of the young guys. Aside from Joey Logano, he's like 27 or 28. But so I got started in quarter midgets when I was 7.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like I said before, it's kind of been a long and crazy ride, but it's really cool to be here driving for Hendrick Motorsports.
I'm sure. I mean, most 7-year-olds are still just trying to get off their parents' leash, you know, and trying to get a little further and getting yelled at for running too fast. And here you are.
The leash thing is pretty interesting. I mean, that is, I've seen that.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know.
How do you guys feel about leashes on kids?
I think until you're a parent, you just never know what you're going to do, you know?
That's why I stick with dogs, because you can keep them on a leash and put them in a cage. They don't let you do that with kids. I don't get it.
He's got a sense of humor, guys. There's an 88 fan. What you got? Your most memorable race?
To be honest, it's probably one that didn't end so well, but Phoenix in 2016, just, we led pretty much all day and dominated that race and let one get away there at the end, but that was a big moment for my career, kind of showing that I can run up front in cup races, and I think without that race, I'm probably not here at this point currently, so it was really fun to be a part of.
Were any of you guys at that Phoenix race? Anybody not quite across the country? Speaking of memorable races, what is your favorite track to run?
The one they took away from me here.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, the oval here is one of my favorite places. I hated it at first and really struggled here, and felt like I was kind of able to figure things out over the years. And it's a lot more technical as a driver than you would think. Just looking at it, it looks like a standard 1.5 miles, but 1 and 2 is pretty wide open, and then 3 and 4, it has so much character, and you have to move around quite a bit. But it's one of my favorite places. Obviously, winning the Xfinity race here last year kind of made me like it a little more. But it's a cool place for sure.
Good memories, absolutely. Does everybody know what the Roval course entails? Is anybody unfamiliar with the changes and what that means for the track? Okay, we're all good. You guys are all pros. How's it working with JJ?
It's pretty cool. He's won a few races and a championship or 2, and
Just a few.
I think he's gonna be okay. He'll probably make it, but it's cool to be able to lean on him and just kind of try to be a sponge when I'm around him and draw from all the knowledge and information that he has, everything he's seen change over the course of his career. I mean, obviously when he came into this deal, the cars were vastly different, so he's learned a lot in a bunch of different types of cars, and got an interesting background with off-road truck stuff, and it's just it's cool to be able to lean on him.
Speaking of our Hendrick team, who would you say you're the closest to? I like the word you use, sponge. Like, who would you say you've gravitated toward and learned from the most on our team?
Probably Jimmy, for sure. I think I just spend a lot of time picking on William, because he had to get the day off high school yesterday to come qualify. So someday he's going to burn my house down because he doesn't pick on me back at all.
Says the 23-year-old, right?
Yeah. But no, I think Jimmy and I are pretty good about kind of leaning on each other, talking to each other about the race cars. Chase is typically busy doing a Hooters appearance or something, and then William's always doing homework. So I just try to lean on Jimmy as much as I can.
Good times, good times. We'll take one more question, and then we have time for some autographs. Do you have a new nickname?
You can't give yourself a nickname.
That's true.
That's like wearing your own T-shirt. You can't do it.
I mean, you can kind of do what you want, though.
Yeah, but I'm not going to. I will get made fun of way too much. I get made fun of enough as it is. I don't need to increase that at all. So, I mean, if I gave myself a nickname, the hell that my friends would put me through,
sure,
I can't do it.
As they should.
Yeah, I absolutely can't do it. So I'm going to lean on y'all for that one, because Showman's pretty terrible. I think it's too late at this point. It's stuck, and I'm going to have to take one for the team and have the worst nickname in the history of sports. But It's part of it.
I think they made a movie for you with The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I mean,
Yeah,
it's very theatrical, you know.
It was a good, so I trademarked it, and then they had to pay me a bunch to make the movie.
Perfect.
So it worked
That's how you were
it
able
worked
to
out pretty
afford
well.
getting to this level, right?
Yeah.
The trademark.
Yep, it worked out pretty well in my favor.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Alex. We're going to stick around for some autographs and make sure you guys cheer him on this weekend. And we're excited to see what you can do in that 88 car on the Roval course.
Thanks.